Good day. This is Sundiata at the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services Teaching Garden. So I have some excellent pointers and tips to give out when starting your school garden. Okay, so we're going to be quick, all right? I got 10 awesome tips and 10 things to consider when getting ready to start a school garden or revamping a school garden. All right, here we go. Tip number 1, partner up with a local expert or a consultant. Find someone in your community that has expertise in this field. That's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of headache when trying to figure out next steps to get your garden going. All right, and usually that person has, been in the game, in the gardening and growing game for a number of years and can provide you with some really helpful tips and expertise that will save you a lot of time. Okay? Number 2, the location of your garden. And these are things that you want to begin to do before you break any ground or drop any seeds, any of those things. You want to identify the location of your garden. Is it a very safe space on your school grounds? What's surrounding the area that you want to potentially put this particular garden? All right, so keep all of those things into consideration. Is it near woods, or is it open? Is it open space, completely open field? All right, so look for things that could be potential dangers when implementing a school garden and identifying the location. How far away from the actual school is it? Okay, these are things that you have to consider for the safety of the young people that will be involved in the garden. All right, number 3, who is the point of contact for the garden? Always have someone who is that point of contact. Traditionally it's always a science teacher, but a lot of schools have implemented agri-science into their curriculum, so this person would be the obvious choice. But find a point of contact and who is going to be responsible for maintaining the space. Okay, and also you have to consider which students are going to have access to the space. Will it only be allowed to students who are in the garden club, or will all students have the ability to participate in the school garden? My recommendation is to find a way to have all of the students participate, because growing your own food and being outside in nature is something that we all desperately need at this particular time. So the more children that you can expose to your school garden, the better. All right, number 4, design layout. Who's going to design the garden? Is it going to be the students, or are you going to find a consultant to do it? Either direction is good, but you'd be amazed at what some of your students would be able to come up with in terms of design. So something to consider. Number 5, identify your sources for your resources. Okay? Where are you going to get your compost from? Where are you going to get your wood chips from? Where are you going to get your lumber from? All right? All of these supplies that you're going to need to get your garden moving and up and running and being able to maintain it, where are these items coming from? Where are you sourcing your resources? All right. Number 6, what types of growing beds are you going to install at this garden? Is it going to be one particular type? Is it just going to be raised beds? Are you going to have some in-ground mounded beds as well? Right? Are you going to have pollinator gardens to diversify your space? That's important. So always consider having a variety of beds at your garden to provide a nice aesthetic, but also just a variety, so people can see that it's not just one mundane looking school garden. Okay. All right. Another thing in terms of the types of growing beds, will all students have access? Because not all students will be able to get down on their hands and knees and work these beds. What about students who might be wheelchair bound and the beds wheelchair accessible? So you might have to do elevated beds, because the other beds are very low to the ground. So are your beds or some of your beds in your garden space accessible to young people who may have physical challenges at the school. You want to have beds that would be accessible to all of the young children, all of the beautiful young people that are at your school. All right. Number 7, what to grow. All right. Like I mentioned before, you want crop diversity, okay? And you want to have a pollinator garden. You want to be able to grow as many different things as you can to showcase and highlight the beauty of food, the beauty of vegetables, and the beauty of fruits in your garden. And the more variety you have, the more of nature you have. The more animals might show up. Birds, rather. You'd have different types of birds that'll show up, different types of insects, worms, and all of these things will play into your ecosystem, because that's something that you might want to consider creating. As you're creating your garden, you want to think about, am I creating a sort of a monolith of beds and crops, or am I creating a broad diversity that will bring in outside diversity, that will bring in an entire ecosystem, and you'll have a whole habitat. You'll find out that the air is cleaner right inside of that garden space that you all have created. Okay, all right, number 8, are animals allowed? Not the ones that are going to just wander in from the woods or from the forest, but do you want chickens? Do you want rabbits? All right, do you want quail? Imagine that, having a quail pen or a chicken coop or a rabbit hutch on your school garden. Or what about an aquaponics system where you're growing fish and vegetables at the same time? That's fun. All right, number 9, when your garden gets set up and implemented, I know that we're dealing with the age of COVID, so things are very, very sensitive right now in terms of social distancing, but consider having workshops or tours, and these tours and workshops can be virtual. That way, everyone can have access to it. So you can showcase and highlight to the parents and people within the community what the students are actually doing at the school. So think about virtual workshops, virtual tours, so that people can know what's going on at that school and how wonderful that garden is and what the young people are being exposed to. All right? And number 10, just have fun. Don't make it a chore. Oh, this garden, oh, don't make it that. Have fun, and the more hands you have on deck, the more fun you're going to have, and it's going to be a communal environment. Even in the age of social distancing, it can still be communal, and we can still come together around food and fellowship. All right, so those are Sundiata's top 10 things to consider when starting your school garden. All right, have a good day.